Hi, my name is Tor Norbye, and I work on the Tools Android team. So today I want to show you the brand new IDE that we have for Android. As you can see here, it looks sort of dark. That's an optional dark theme that a lot of us like a lot. And on the left here, you can see the Project Explorer, which shows you the files in your project. And then we have the code editor in the center. And the code editor is really the star of this IDE. It is a very, very intelligent editor that can do really, really fast refactoring, code completion, and so forth. And I want to show a few of those editor features in detail today. All right, so here we're looking at some pretty typical Android code. But notice that we have some hard-coded strings here, or what appear to be hard-coded strings. Turns out they're actually not. This IDE can present these strings as if they had been hard-coded. So you can see here, as I hover, I can see the real code, I can click on it, and I can go in and actually look at the real string. But the IDE gives me a much simpler view of the code, which makes it a lot easier to read. And we don't just do that for strings. If you look further down here, you can see we are manipulating some icons, and over in the gutter on the left, you can see the real icon itself. And we also help you with the completion here. So if I invoke code completion or just do show doc with F1, you can see we get this completion dialog, which shows me all the assets as well. And that works not just for icons, but for strings as well. So if I, for example, click on this one, you can see we have, actually we only have 2 translations for that string. And furthermore, this also works on colors. So if I jump to, for example, a color file, you can see that we see all the colors previewed in the gutter. Let's take a look at the code again. One of the really nice things about this new IDE is that it does really deep code analysis. So if I, for example, scroll to the bottom here, you can see that it has highlighted this line, and it's saying that this is a potential null pointer exception. The reason it knows that is that we have added annotations into the Android platform. So we know which methods can return null, which methods can't. And in fact, we also know, for example, which constants are allowed for which APIs. So it is flagging this call right up here to set layout direction right, which looks good, but you can see it's telling me that the constant we were expected to pass in here is one of these named constants. And so we use this data not just for code analysis, but for code completion as well. So for example, context get system service, if I invoke code completion, you can see it's offering all the valid strings, which is something we couldn't do in the past. You can invoke actions using the show action dialog. So I'm going to type inspect code. And you can see inspect code lets me run on the whole project or individual files. And this is how you basically run code inspections. And we've integrated lint, so you get all the lint errors, but you also get a lot of code analysis that IntelliJ already comes with. And it's really great at finding a lot of bugs in your code. Now let's talk about layout. So if I jump into a layout file like this one, you can see that we now offer you a preview on the right of the layout. And this preview stays in sync with my edits. So if I, for example, click on this text right here, and I change the text, let's see, what should we change it to? How about to reset? You can see the preview updates on the left. And the key thing about this preview is you get to work with the code, but it keeps the rendering on the right in sync. And you can also click in the editor or in the preview, and it syncs the selection between the two. Let's go ahead and create a new layout. So I'm going to create a new blank layout. So when I'm typing new layout tags, you can see that it actually helps me complete my layout on the right. So the error panel is saying, hey, you have this widget, but you're missing a size. So we can just click on the link to have it do that. If I make a typo, it detects that and offers to fix it. And this is basically done for a lot of typical errors that you might have as you're editing your layouts. Another feature we have is multi-configuration editing. So if I jump back to my stopwatch layout here, I can turn on the ability to see this layout across a number of different layouts. When I do that, you can see we actually get a preview here of what the current layout that I'm editing looks like. Here we have it on a tablet, a large tablet. We have it all the way from a 3.7-inch phone up to a 4.7-inch Galaxy Nexus. It's showing a Nexus 4 on the top left, and we have a 7-inch tablet and a 10-inch tablet. So this makes it very easy as I'm editing, to see if I'm making any mistakes. And this isn't just for screen sizes. We have many other aspects. So I can, for example, switch to translations. Here, I can see this layout across a number of different languages and so forth. And again, as I'm editing, it will generate previews of what the edits look like. So I can make sure that I, for example, don't cause the text to crop on these different languages. So that's layout preview. We have this not just for XML editing. You obviously, if you prefer, you can do layout editing with a full UI builder as well. This is something we're still working on. But as you can see here, we have our UI builder with a property sheet, palette, and so forth, and layout preview should work here as well. And I can go ahead and make my edits, and as you can see, the previews will update. And the reason that this one didn't is because this is using a different layout. So we have a custom landscape layout here that's used when you have a large tablet, which is one of the ways you can make sure that your app looks good across all the way from phones up to tablets, is to use dedicated layouts. And creating new layouts in this IDE is very easy. We basically have this create other item in the layout editor, which takes the current layout, creates a copy of it, and then you can customize that for the specific form factor you have in mind. So there are a lot of new features to investigate in this IDE. This is just a preview build, but please give it a try and let us know what you think. Thanks for your time.